Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. I'm all running late today, heading towards tea time. It's not starting to get dark yet, but by the time I've finished it could be. Hence, I'll show you why I've opened this. It's a birthday bottle of wine from my son. He brought it round with my grandson, who's written a card, which at the age of 3 is like that sort of thing, but that was nice. And I'll show you the bottle for those who appreciate things like this. So I've got myself a nice steak to have with that tonight, and I opened it originally to let it breathe, and then I thought, well, it'll breathe a lot better if it's got a gap at the top of the bottle, so I poured some out to try it. The sort of luxury I can't afford. Otherwise I'd have rows of them. It's one of the nicest wines that I can remember ever having. I've got another bottle that he bought for me that's now about 15 years old, which for me is pretty amazing that it's managed to stay in the bottle that long. But I'm keeping that for something incredibly special, which I don't know what that will be. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe something will come up. But anyway, I suppose the most important event that's happened recently is my blood test results. And the way the blood test, I don't know whether it's the same in your country, but in this country you've got all the different sections, all the different types of tests that they do for all the different types of things they test for. The liver function, cholesterol was in there, and I went down the list. Normal, no further action. Normal, no further action. Normal, no further action. Right down to the bottom. Nothing. So even the two that were borderline last time have gone away. They are now normal, no further action. Which are good. Well pleased, especially the liver, considering what it gets, what it gets given to deal with, so to speak. And I don't have wine like this every day. I don't have wine every day, but I certainly don't have wine like this every day. Need a bank loan. I thought I had to fill in a questionnaire, which was press the dots on your phone to fill in the section type of thing. Quite honestly, all of the questions that they asked, I won't say failed, but I only didn't put down like no or whatever, was for 2. And one of those was my heart rate is irregular, and the other one is I get out of breath when exerting myself as a consequence of AF. Well, it's not actually the AF that gets me out of breath directly, it's the flipping tablets that I take that slow my heart rate down, which when I'm not doing much is perfectly adequate. Everything's normal. Don't get out of breath, walk up the stairs, down the stairs, all that sort of thing. Everything's normal. But if I start doing anything in the slightest bit strenuous, I run out of steam quite quickly. And then I have to stop for a bit, and then I can carry on for a bit again. But that's my only side effect really, and that is partially due to the tablet, which holds my heart at a set steady rate to combat the AF, where it floats up and down all the time, erratic and irregular, although it's not dramatic and irregular. So when you exert yourself, you need more oxygen. Your lungs call for more oxygen. You breathe deeper, and you need your heart to beat faster to provide that extra oxygen. And my tablet says, oh no you don't having none of that. hence I run out of steam. Meow. Mayday. But it's a condition that's easily lived with, you know, it really is. Most of the time I forget, apart from having to take flipping tablets, I just forget that I've even got a heart condition because it's so mild, so minor really. Yeah, so that was good. What else? We've got a, is it this weekend? No, it won't be this weekend, it'll be next weekend. This weekend's nearly over, isn't it, come to think of it? I'm getting my days muddled up again. Yeah, next weekend I've got my Orchid Society, and we've got a speaker coming in, Trey Saunders, guy I've known for absolutely ages. So he runs his own nursery and business, orchid business and everything. He does talks now and again, so he's coming to see us. And I've got to set up all the kit. I shall be trying out my new speakers in their secondary role, because primarily they're for me. But I did say that if ever we need sound at the Orchid Society, I'd be quite happy to bring them in. Because they're Bluetooth, they don't take any setting up. All you've got to do is turn them on, switch Bluetooth on the laptop, and they're working basically. There's no wires or anything, apart from the one that joins the two together. Power amplifier, so there's plenty of power there for the size of the hall. Bearing in mind we don't normally bother with the microphone. And that will be because he said his presentation's got some video clips in. He said, have you got speakers? Can you do sound okay? He said, if you can't, then I won't bring the video clips, because obviously they've got sound on. So it'll be the full setup this time. Laptop, projector and sounds. So we'll see what we get for our money. I don't know how much he's going to charge yet. But I just pay it. I don't make the decisions, I just pay. Yeah, so that's coming up next weekend, and time is ticking by. Christmas is coming, whether we flipping like it or not. I'm getting adverts on the telly. Those will start getting more frequent now. It's officially November, you know. So we shall start getting more and more adverts. I expect lights are going up and Christmas decorations are going up round towns and stuff. I wouldn't know, because I don't go out much. And I don't go into town unless I absolutely have to, so I wouldn't see all that sort of stuff. No, I wouldn't. I was just thinking, most of my journeys, I've got the road from here to Ringwood, but the road takes you round Ringwood. It doesn't take you into the town, so I wouldn't see the market square and all this sort of, you know, sort of probably got a big tree and everything. I won't see all that because I go round. And then I get on a dual carriageway and head off somewhere, you know, so no, I don't get to see all those delights, but they are coming soon. Oh, somebody said that business with stealing your phone number and then replacing your own phone number with somebody else's apparently it's called mobile phone spoofing. Which sounds like a made-up name to me, but nonetheless, yes, I'm suffering from that. Although it's not really my problem, because it affects other people. Because other people get phoned, cold call, trying to sell something from some grubby little, you know, area somewhere with people with, you know, hot sweaty pants and, you know, a list of scripts and a list of phone numbers stolen, you know, that they paid a token for and given by unscrupulous companies. All this is going on all the time. There are two main guilty countries involved. If you head round the world, one's about halfway and the other one's the other side. We haven't headed north yet. We'll leave them out for a bit. Guilty as charged. So yeah, that's still going on, obviously. Not big news. The only big news today was there's been a mass stabbing on a train. Of all the places, stop and think what a train is like. Yeah? First of all, it was a high-speed train coming down from the north to London. The nearest station, it wouldn't have been able to stop. because it would have taken the fast route through the station rather than peeling off to pull in alongside the platform. They managed to get that organised in time to be able to get that train into a station. And all the services, I'll call it, including an armed response team, got there in a almost miraculous time. They must have been waiting in the car park to have got there that quick. But yeah, a mass stabbing on a train, just think about it. Where do you run? And I mean, you have to stop and think, first thing I would want is a weapon. I'd want to defend myself. What the hell is there on a train that you can pick up? There's nothing. There's nothing there, is there? It's just seats. There's nothing you can pick up, nothing you can get hold of. So the people must have felt absolutely terrified to be trapped in with that. Yeah, I think there were 9 people taken to hospital with potential life-threatening wounds, 2 of which have been kept in still in that state, others have been declassified. But yeah, of all the places, a train or a plane is not a good place to be trapped, because you can't get out and you can't get off. You know, I've seen other knife attacks where you sort of think it's in a high street. Well, in a high street there's tables and chairs. There's all sorts of things you can pick up. There's shops you can go in to grab hold of something. Yeah? So, yeah, trains and planes, not good places. Not good places. And we've got a problem in this country because of all the illegal immigration that's going on. People are getting very anti-foreigners. Specifically those in particular, because they just shouldn't be here, full stop. But you've got the problem that it's affecting people's mindsets now, so that they're walking along the street and every person that's non-white, they're looking at them as a threat, when that's not the case. It's not the case at all. The majority of people, irrespective of the colour of their skin and their countries of origin, even 2 or 3 generations ago, are perfectly peaceful people, carrying on about their lives and everything. There's nutters in all walks of life, you know, but they made a big deal of saying that this was a British national. That stops people speculating and this, that and the other. And then they interviewed somebody and he said, and it was a big black man. That was it, straight out. So now everybody's gone down that route. But yeah, he was of, well, I forget what they said now, but he had origins in another country. That doesn't, but he was a British national. So, but yeah, there's trouble brewing in this country, serious trouble brewing. Mobs, gangs of people. Possibly revenge attacks and stuff. It's building because the government are not doing, I won't say anything because they are trying, but they're not doing enough and they're not doing it quick enough. People are fed up and it's starting to get out of hand. I can remember a very, very famous speech, long time ago now, when the coloured people first came across from, what do they call them? Something generation. They came over to help rebuild the country after the war. And somebody suggested where that would lead. Well, it's a bit delayed because the guy's long since dead now, but you know, but we could be going down that road. We could have mass revolts. And the problem is, I've got a horrible feeling that most of the people that will be on the receiving end of it shouldn't be, because they're not doing anything wrong in particular. But yeah, it's getting out of hand, and the trouble is now with the media and the fast access and everything moves so quickly and everything, it's there in your face reporting, over heavy-handed reporting in some cases, and yeah, that's, you know, that never happened 50 years ago, did it? You know, so everything's so fast now, you know, you get a little bit of news on a mobile phone and it goes worldwide in seconds. That's how our world has become. So that's how it is. But the good thing, I suppose, is where there is an event like that, somebody will always get it on a phone. Somebody will always have video evidence. It'll always be there. And sometimes many. Therefore they can all be compared, different angles and all that sort of stuff. So how stupid can you be to do something like that, where probably every person in the carriage has got a mobile phone? How daft can you be? I don't know. But, it's not just here. It's not just in this country. There's a lot of other European countries that, you know, have similar problems, and these problems don't seem to have a definitive solution. The solution, definitive, should have been 30 years ago, and it wasn't. So, you know, stable door and horse bolting joke there somewhere. It's too late. Damage is done. So we've got to try and manage it somehow. I haven't got an answer, don't look at me. Yeah, and I'm not doing the head in the sand, I just haven't got an answer. So we have to live with it. I mean, it'd be very difficult for my life to ever get involved with anything like that, because whenever I go somewhere, I'm in my car, which is pretty self-contained. And it has got a jack and a jack handle in the boot for jacking up the car if you get a puncture, of course, not for any other purpose whatsoever, allegedly. But you know what I mean, you know. So, and you know, the places I go to would be unlikely to ever get an event or an episode of any description like that. It's just the type of people that would be at the events that I go are not the sort of people that could ever become a target, really. So, you know. Anyway, yeah, bit morbid, all that lot, wasn't it? But that's what's going on. You stick the news on, that's what you get, you know. But, and then you get all the sleaze and the scandal. Because certainly our news, our BBC, and the others aren't quite so bad, but our BBC loves sleaze and scandal, straight on it. Mainline headline news, so-and-so's done something naughty. Love it, they love it, especially if it's a politician or a person of power, which is the big news at the moment. How can you get yourself in such a mess that a prince, the son of our lovely queen, the brother of our current king, can get in such a flipping mess he gets all his titles stripped away and kicked out of his house? Stupidity it has to come down to, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, and who's he associated with? Who is the problem? Problem's dead. And they're still digging. Still looking in the trash, see what they can find. Our media love it. But, yeah. It brings, well, you could say it brings the house down. But it's not nice to be associated with somebody like that. Especially when you're in the public eye, because you can't get away from it. You know, it's just there, and our media just love to latch on to anything like that. They love it. And they dig up stuff. I mean, there was a massacre, the Birmingham pub bombings, I think it was. This was back in the Irish Troubles days, IRA and all that sort of stuff. And it was a mass murder, effectively, looking at it from one point of view. But they're digging that up. I want justice. I want information. How long ago did that happen? How the hell do you think you're going to find this information? Where is it? Most of the people that didn't get killed in the bombing have died naturally anyway. Sometimes you just have to let it drop and let it go. Those troubles are basically over, apart from an odd little flurry now and again where somebody won't let it drop. But in the main, there is now a relative peace in a country that was difficult to ever imagine there could be. So that's how it is. I mean, I'm sort of on the wrong side because my loyalties are below the line. Down here. Well, they shouldn't be really being English, should they? I should be up there. But no, yeah. All they wanted was their country to be united and be back together again. And, you know, live in peace. And a group of people said, no, you're not having it. And our lot supported it, of course. That was religion. That was religion caused that problem. You know, my God's better than your God, my God's bigger than your God, there's more people, so, you know, just let it go. You're better off worshipping the blinking sun, or go and join the Druids up at Stonehenge and, you know, have a ceremony, what was it, twice a year? Equinox twice a year? But yeah, if you're going to worship something, worship the sun. Without that, nothing lives. Oh yeah. But who put the sun there? Who gives a toss? Seriously, who cares? Oh dear. Oh, we better not go down that path, I suppose, but that's my view. I think whether you wear a funny little thing on your head, or whether you wear things dangling around your neck, or you know, whether you have a mat on the floor every, whatever it is, 4 or 5 times a day, they, to me, are all as stupid as each other. None is worse, none is better. They are all indoctrinated stupidity. There was a comedian did a flipping good joke like that, you know, he says, you know, if you're born in India, you'd probably be a Hindu or something. And if you're born in the Middle East, you'll probably be a Muslim. And you know, if you're born in a lot of Europe, you'll probably be either a Catholic or another type of Christian. It's amazing how people are born in just the right country for the religion they need to be in. Rest my case. These cobblers. Worship the sun. Comes up every day, gives everything life, makes things grow. Brilliant. I'm going to start a cult. Let's start a cult. Sun worshippers. Oh, that's been done before, isn't it? Oh, nothing's new. Let's have some of this. Right, so what's new out here then? Not a lot. Videos yesterday. That is a real chore, that is. There's 2 or 3 that are in very big pots, and the media that was used had compost mixed in to a reasonable extent with the bark and the perlite. So they hold a lot of moisture. It's a big pot and they're big plants. They are incredibly heavy when they've just been watered. And so that I can access everything, 2 of the really big ones have to go on the floor out of the way so that I can get at others to water them. It's just this top shelf over here. There's 6 plants up there and 3 of them are big and heavy. And then all the rest are easy. But yeah, that does me in, that does. Whenever I water the cymbidiums, the only other thing I'm prepared to water is the mounts. And I did yesterday, I watered the mounts as well. And it suddenly dawned on me, the numbers have crept up a bit. I'm not too into mounts at the moment. When I moved here, almost everything on a mount died. They didn't do well at all. And now I'm starting to get more and more mounts on the go here. I don't know. Things change. But yeah, everything else is going to get watered tomorrow. Should have been done today, but another day. This time of year, short days, low temperatures, extra day on the watering schedule doesn't hurt anything, it's not too bad. So yeah, we'll get the rest done tomorrow. But yeah, watering schedules have extended out. There's more days between watering on all the different sets now. I mean, my cooler shadier set, most of those just shouldn't dry out really. Well, they're taking quite a long time now, and most of the time they actually get done with the rest of the pots. The only thing that will stop that happening is if there's a feed run, because the cooler, shadier set is things like the Miltonopsis behind me, the Masdevallias, a couple of Draculas, Restrepias. They're not forgotten, Insa, they're just not doing very well. Really, they're just not doing very well, so I don't show them. But yeah, that cooler, shadier set and all my Odontoglossums, they shouldn't dry out, but they also, every single one of those, hate to be soggy. They really do. And if you've got really short days and low temperatures, the low temperatures they like, and because of the low temperatures the humidity is reasonable in here without adding to it. When I water stuff it adds to the humidity. But yeah, they can get almost dry in conditions like this and still be okay. So a couple of viewers' suggestions. Somebody suggested my new little Dracula seedling, because it's a seedling, would make a nice little mini project, a one plant project. So we started that. I'm open to these suggestions. Oh, you noticed. But yeah, suggestions are always welcome. I can't promise to do any of them, but the chances are I will do some of them. Because if I'm short on ideas, anything incoming we'll get a good thought and a good look at to see if it's viable. And I agreed with that. I thought that will make a little mini project because I don't have seedlings. It's not something I normally do. So it's a bit special in here, you know, to have a seedling. Also something that could be classed as not that easy to grow. We shall see. I think I started Insa off with he's saying, oh, perhaps I could try those again. I think your problem, Insa, with your Mazzies and the like was them being in the grow room. It was too hot. It was too hot for them. And that light streaming in through those lovely big windows in some cases is brilliant, but not in their case, not really. You'd be surprised how much light is reflected. So although that nice brilliant sun is coming in on some plants, it's bouncing. So it's getting into other corners as well. I doubt if there was much shade at all there. So now that they're out of that, somewhere cooler, they seem to be doing better. Yeah. And that's the same with mine. You know, they didn't do so well at the other place, too bright. Well, I did put shade netting on, double layers in the summer, but still intense light getting through, and the heat as well, not so good. So yeah, so they do better now. So my collection has changed quite dramatically. If you go back 5 years and have a look at the type of things I was growing then, it's quite heavy on the Cattleyas, and I had to go through and the Dracula Bella, I needed a picture. Well, I had it a long time ago and it did actually bloom, so I knew I had a picture of it, but it's in the Lost Orchids folder. This is a folder of every orchid that I've ever flowered that I remembered to take a picture of that I no longer have. Now, it's not because they've all died. Some were given away, some were sold, some were swapsies, but I no longer have them. I've kept the pictures. So I had to go back into that folder to dig out the picture of the Dracula Bella and bring it back into the current folder, current pictures that I use for the pop-ups and things like that, which is what I wanted it for. And of course it begins with D, doesn't it? Row after row after row of dendrobiums lost. And it was sad looking at some of the stuff I once had that grew pretty well in a lot of cases as well. And probably half, if not more, of those dendrobiums I will never see again. Because quite a few of them I don't know anybody else that had, and you can't get them in this country anymore. That's why going to that RHS Rosemore was quite important for me, because one of the guys was from Taiwan. That's dendrobium country, along with the surrounding areas, surrounding countries. So and they're not so hot on border controls where plants are concerned, that's for sure. yeah, so yeah, it's changed in here. It's changed quite a bit. If you think I had quite a few of the Dendrobium Phalaenopsis types, not anymore, I've got any. I had quite a few Latoria types. I've got one at the moment that's a hybrid cross with a species. It's never bloomed for me. It hates my winters. The leaves curl along the edges. Just doesn't like it here. So whether it's going to bloom on that latest growth or not, we shall have to wait and see. If it does, it will be a flipping miracle. It grows a new cane every season, and you know, it's this high. It's a big plant. It just won't bloom. But can't say it's not blooming size, because it blooming well is. But it hasn't bloomed yet. So, you know, there's still a few items around here that are just probably never going to do well. My Renanthera, that's been binned. That just started to shrivel up. Just doesn't like the cold, doesn't like the short days, and doesn't like the way it was being grown. And it had gone downhill enough that recovering it in my conditions was almost impossible, so I gave up on it. I've still got my one Vanda. I used to have 3, maybe 4, possibly even more. If you count the Neophonetas as Vandas, not so sure. Not in my place. But I had a couple of those as well. So yeah, but now I have a Vanda that's not doing very well. But there is another genus that I have one of that I will be getting more. And last time I saw Lynn at the at our show, which wasn't a good day for her. She'd lost one of her dogs a couple of days before, and it was quite sudden as well. So she wasn't in a good frame of mind, shall we say. But nonetheless, she remembered that this particular genus, there will be some more coming my way sometime. Hopefully this year, towards the end of the year. Well, it is towards the end of the year now, so maybe coming soon, we shall see. I'll get it out and show you, because I like to sort of, when I'm thinking of getting more plants of a certain type, I like to justify why it's okay to do so. And if I show you the one I've got, you might agree that that's a pretty good plant. Now, you might have never heard of this type of plant. You might have never seen any, even if you've heard of them. They are not easy to come by. These are Aussie plants. And there's a nursery hybridizer out there that's managed to get some flasks over this way, and quite a few of the flasks went into a Kearns, and people bought them, and you end up getting seedlings and grow them on. Well, this is a good plant. It's got loads of new growths and one good size growth that should bloom at the appropriate time, which I believe is springtime. But it's got a massive new growths up this end of the plant, all of which will do this one day. Yeah? But it's not dormant, but it's not far off this time of year. They have a dry winter rest effectively, but not an extreme one. It's not one of these you don't water it, still needs a little bit to keep it ticking over. And that's a species as well. Sarcochilus. Yeah. And I may be getting some more. I had a look at the actual nursery involved out in, I think it's Australia, it might be New Zealand. No, I'm pretty sure it's Australia. And basically they had a couple of pictures. I think they managed to find themselves onto the Orchid Society of Great Britain's site, their website. I think they managed to get some pictures up on there. And they just had this picture of this greenhouse and a little note saying, "It's our flowering season." It's just a mass of colour as far as you could see. And the ones that, most of the species tend to be a white base with little speckles of different colours, mostly red. That's what this one is anyway. There are others, but what is special in amongst these, as it is with the Miltonopsis, is yellow. And they had some stunning yellow ones. Now I had 3 of these once upon a time, and they were going downhill fast, and I gave them to Lynn, who seemed to be growing them quite well. They didn't like my heat. These are cool growers, cool shady. And what is this place? Cool and shady. Well, they should do okay then, shouldn't they? And judging by how well that one's doing, I would suggest yes, they will do okay. So hopefully we're going to get some more. And I think it's geared up to when Lynn splits up some of hers. And I think she's getting a new input. There's somebody up north that's got a large collection, and there's some splits coming up that will come back down to Lynn, and there's stuff going on in the background. I don't really need to know what's going on. I need to know what comes out the end of it, and hopefully some of that's going to come in my direction. When they do come up, Lawrence had 1 or 2 of those, Lawrence Hobbs. Silly prices. I'm not paying that. Silly prices. But it's a rarity. You've got a job to find them anywhere, you know, north of the equator. Very difficult to find. And with the restrictions on, I mean, in Australia you've got restrictions on plants going both ways. If you get off a plane with a lettuce sandwich, in the bin, mate, it's confiscated. It's got plant life in it. Yeah, but it's no, in the bin. It's food, get it out. Yeah, they're strict on plants in and out. And they stick to it too. There's no mucking about. They're quite strict controls. So obviously, getting plants out in a flask seems to be acceptable in many parts of the world, quite honestly, and does allow for plants to change countries. But obviously, you're getting tiny little plants. They're a long way off becoming a, you know, blooming sized plant, and need pretty good care when they come out of the flask. I remember once being told, oh, you get a flask and you watch them grow and they get up to a reasonable size and you take them out to die. Because they've come out of a perfect environment into something that to them is far from it. So, covered in gunk. But I've never had a flask put in front of me to even consider getting one. I don't think I would. But I don't want 20 plants all the same. No, I'd have a hell of a job getting rid of them. So no, not for me, I'm afraid. I'll wait till somebody else has done all the hassle and got their first set of blooms. Now I'll have one. That's just how I am. I like the mature plants in blooms. I like to see what I'm getting. Preferably with some decent roots, which you can't always get nowadays. But, yeah, so... but yeah, my watering schedule is becoming less often, which means it is less, technically speaking. You know, I mean, it's probably only another 4 or 5 watering sessions and we'll be in next year. You know, it's going to come round. Christmas has started, New Year will follow. But, and there's a real downside of going into the new year because the adverts on YouTube go like that, which means everybody's money goes like that. Yeah, lots of YouTube creators become poor people in January and February, and then it builds up again a bit for Easter when the advertisers start kicking off again a little bit. And yeah, but that's YouTube. It comes in waves, and it's due to the advertisers' seasonal advertising. You know, that's how it goes. You have to put up with it. But it will build up now towards Christmas. The next couple of months should be good. We shall see. Nothing much else to say about what's going on out here. We still got a good smattering of blooming over here. We got, you know, this Coleogeny here, this one here. This is gorgeous. This one from Arthur. There's Coleogeny buds behind me. This rogue Coleogeny here that's grown out of the pot and is now sat on another pot to stop it tipping the pot over, that also has a spike on it. I've had quite a few suggestions what to do with that. All physically possible, believe it or not. We don't have those sort of suggestions, thank you very much. But yeah, one of those will be adopted. I'm not sure when, but I might wait till it's finished blooming, quite honestly. But we shall see. But yeah, cotyledons aren't doing bad. I've got some that look awful, but they're not. They've had the cotyledon shock. And this is where a lot of them just object to being repotted. They don't like the root disturbance and they stall. The roots, they don't retract as such, but they stop working as efficiently as they used to. And the bulbs start to shrivel and the plants don't look very good. They're not dying, they're just stalled. And then hopefully at some point you get some new growths with some new root systems to go with those new growths. Those bulbs are nice and plump, and then gradually as you repot and get things to fit back in the pot because they try and climb out, the back end of the plant with the shriveled bulbs gradually gets trimmed off. And then you have to try not to let it happen again, because it does. Some of them are awful. I mean, I've got the Moreniana, Magnifica and the ordinary one. They don't like being repotted and divided, and I've just done both. So what's happened? Shriveled bulbs. But they've got new growths, you know, they'll come back. It's a disaster if you want to put them in the show, because obviously they look like they haven't been looked after. That's what they look like. We haven't given these enough water. You pour too much water on them in that state, you'll rot the few roots you've got left. You'll have no roots because they're not growing. You've got to be very careful when you get a cotyledon in that state. You overwater it, you'll desiccate your roots, they'll be gone. Decimate, sorry. You have a job to desiccate something if it's soggy and wet. But yeah, at that particular time, they don't need much food, if any, and they don't need a lot of water. They need to get into the position where they want to grow again. And that can take a long time. I had one that stalled for 2.5 years. And then it grew a nice new growth and some roots, and the whole plant died. Just waved the flag and that was it, over it went. They do that sometimes. But that's a collection that's dramatically grown. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 potfuls now. Now okay, 3 pots are divisions of the same plant. So they are 3 the same and 2 of another. I think I split it. Yeah. So there are some duplicates there that will eventually go to other people. But you've got a job to give away cotyledons. People don't want them because they all think they're going to grow into a bush. You know, well, some of them do, but not all. There's some nice little miniatures. Fimbriatum, nice little autumn blooming miniature. That doesn't grow big. That doesn't climb out the pot either. Quite a nice little plant, but the blooms are smallish, you know. But they're not all giants, and some of them are giants. If you see some of the specimen plants at Burnham's, as you walk down the aisle, they're in big pots on staging that's like a pallet on the floor, and the plant's nearly up in the roof. They're big plants, so they're not all medium size or small. It's the same with the cymbidiums. I mean, on reflection, I would love to have started a collection of cymbidium miniatures and not gone for any of the big ones because of the space and the handling. And it's going to get worse because these 3 big ones that I was talking about earlier in the big pots, well, 2 of them have reached the edge of their pot. Well, what do I do now? Put them in a bucket? Well, you know, and water that? Certainly won't be able to lift it then. That's the problem. It's the man handling them. It's the management. And when you come to repot a big plant like that, I mean, you know, trying to split those, you've got to get a saw. You know, you literally get a hand saw and saw them into 4. And if that cuts a couple of pseudo bulbs in half and chops the roots, so be it. Doesn't matter. You go and watch Jim Durrant at the Mathers Foundation dividing cymbidiums. It's brutal. And he takes nearly all the roots off. He said all of this part of the plant is has-been. This is old stuff. This has ceased to be. This is the new stuff, and that's the only roots he keeps. He cuts all the others off. Just chop. Not even a second thought. No, that's going to rain again. There could be a nice rainbow in a minute because the sun's out and it's raining. But it'll be behind the trees because the sun's over there now. I'm surprised it's not starting to get dark. It will be soon. We had a look at this because it's a project plant, but the blooms weren't properly open. Now they are, so we can have a good look. This, as Miltonopsis hybrids goes, this is probably one of the most popular, and it's one of the ones that turns up very frequently, her Alexandrae. And it's a good one because the blooms really do open nice and flat. They really do. So they can, they hold their heads up nicely. They also, this particular hybrid, epitomises the nickname of pansy orchid because the blooms look like pansies. So it's an appropriate nickname. But yeah, that's 2 blooms is not a good spike. But again, it was repotted. It's in a state of recovery. It's not at its full strength. So 2 blooms is better than no blooms. And that's that one. It's looking nice at the moment. But, again, you've only got a few species to work with Miltonopsis. I think there's only 5. I think there was 6 originally. I'm not sure whether one got reclassified back as Miltonia, because they were all Miltonias once, and the Miltonopsis got split off because they grow in totally different environments in a different part of the world. So they were, to me, they were obviously different plants. Yeah, there aren't many species to work with, so hybridising in that genera, you haven't got much to work with really. But the rarity in amongst them is the Xanthina variety of Phalaenopsis. Strange name, but it's Miltonopsis Phalaenopsis variety Xanthina. It's yellow. That's where the yellow comes from in the hybrids. The centre of the blooms, that yellow bit, that's not from any hybrid. They're nearly all yellow in the centre. So that's a different thing altogether. But to get petals and sepals that are yellow or have a yellow element to them, it all stems from that one variety that's as rare as it comes, basically. Trying to get hold of that. Equigenera have got some for sale at quite high prices. I would pay a good price for a good one of those plants. But if they come from Equigenera, they're not going to be good plants, because unpotting those and bare rooting them and sending them halfway across the world, they virtually had it. You can virtually say they're not going to do well. You're going to have to recover them when you get them. And recovering Miltonopsis is not the easiest thing in the world to do. They don't like disturbance. There's lots of things they don't like, there's a list. And you mess up on any one or two of them and down they go. And many of mine have done that in the past. But the ones I've got now seem to be hanging in there. This is the one that I'm astounded with. It's easy to get at, so I can show you. If you can still hear me, is this one. This is a species, Miltonopsis. Looks like a pot full of grass. It's actually Phalaenopsis, and it's John Levers, so it's a named variety, if I ever see any blooms on it. But it's growing incredibly well. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 new growths on that plant. Okay, we've got a couple of brown tips. I know why that's happened. The humidity in here has changed and it's dropped a bit because the heater's now coming on. When we get a cold night, the heater's on. That drops the humidity down at night. The worst time you can drop your humidity down. Certainly for these anyway. But yeah, we've still not had any blooms. And others that have bought these, this came from Spice Exotic, and they had some, and some people bought some. And I've heard from others that theirs is on their second or third blooming now, and I haven't had any yet. I'll chuck you out in the garden if you don't bloom soon. That might do it. But yeah, it grows well, and you know, it's an actual species. So you can say almost across the board, but not in all cases, that species will be more difficult to grow than hybrids. And a lot of the reasoning behind that is what's called hybrid vigour, you know, which is effectively the hybridisation is taking the best of several things, merging them together to get like a super version. It doesn't always work. You can get hybrids that should be, you know, butchers, dogs, jobbies, and they're as weak as anything. They're really poor plants, they won't grow. They don't do well. Something in the genetics gets messed up, and you know, they just don't grow very well. But a lot of hybrids are more vigorous than the species. If you think about the common or garden, as people call it, Phalaenopsis, the actual Phalaenopsis, the moth orchids, what's happened to those with the breeding program? They're now a houseplant. You know, they don't need any special treatment for that. You know, but you look at some of the species and they're not easy to grow. Their environments need to be quite precise, or they just don't make it. So, yeah, in the main, the species are more difficult. We've been getting quite a bit of this lately, which is good. It means I don't have to pour any water on anything outside, probably ever again until spring. And you could get a very dry patch in the winter where my bonsai might need a drop of water, but certainly all the tubs and the garden itself don't. They'll be fine. It's doing my Deces the world of good. They get washed nice and clean, their pots get flushed through with proper rainwater, and I have no interference whatsoever. The rain fills up their tray and it overflows, so it's being refreshed every time it rains. And every now and again I tip the tray up and tip half of it out, and then the rain can fill it up again. So and that's all I'm doing with the Deces. I'm not touching them. Until we get a threat of frost, then they will come in. They will come in at that point. Right, I think, what are we doing up here? Oh my goodness. You're in for a long one. Now, if you've stayed with this and you stay with it right to the end, I've changed my ending. Another suggestion from a viewer, and it ties in with the next part, which is all the thank yous that I always do on Sunday. God, when it rain stops, it's like you've gone deaf. It is loud. But yeah, thanks for my members, and we have a new YouTube member, Lynn Coleman. Thanks for joining the Happy Bunch. You are a small group of people, but you are most welcome and most appreciated. Obviously there's the members on Patreon as well, so thanks to you, and thanks to everybody that's a member on the financial side of things, and thanks to everybody else who watches the videos, does the comments, does the thumbs up, subscribes if you're not subscribed if you're not subscribed, and don't forget your hype. Don't forget to use your 3 hypes every week without fail. If you're in a country that can do it and you have a device that allows it, then please do it. I don't care whose channel or whose videos you do it on. It's been a gift that's been given to viewers to help the channels you like and want to support without parting with any money, which on YouTube's part is pretty good going for them to dish out something like that. But it's just a benefit to the channels you like. It helps support them and helps them grow. And quite honestly, it's possible that it's going to do more good than all of the other things put together, providing it's used. I use mine every week without fail. And okay, at least one of them gets used on one of my videos. That's allowed. You could hype your own video if you choose to do that. So I usually put one on mine and then two on other people's. But there's quite a few channels I watch that I can't. I can't actually do the hype. But I do try. I get I get them used up. That's the main thing. And yeah, so that'll do for today. We're heading up towards the hour point. And then what I wanted to say was not as a request from a viewer, but as a recommendation. And I agreed with it. So I've changed my ending. So all you YouTube members, you're now going to get mentioned. You've got your own special cinematic ending just for you people. And that can get as big as it needs to get. I'd like to see it last 10 minutes, but fat chance of that, I'm sure. But yeah, I can add to it any time that I get new YouTube members. So coming up. Right, so it is getting dismal out there now. The camera will adjust. I could stay here till it's almost dark and you wouldn't know, because the camera will just keep adjusting so that the light stays the same until it gets really dark, and then everything starts getting all jerky because of the, it's actually slowing the speed right down to let the light in. So anyway, thanks for being here, joining in with the Sunday chat. You're most welcome. Still seems to be my most popular video. So be it. That's how life goes, and if that's the video that people like, there's no point in me doing 5 other ones in a week. That won't work. It's because this one is different and it's on a Sunday as a weekend and most people's day off. It just works, and I'm pleased it does, because it's probably one of the easiest videos that I do, because all I do is stand here and waffle at the camera. We have had a look at a couple of plants today though. It is supposed to be an orchid channel, isn't it? Anyway, thanks for being here, and here comes the new ending, and it's not that spectacular, but it was suggested by a viewer and I thought it was a good idea, so I've incorporated it. These things will happen as people make suggestions that I like and can do. Yeah? So some of the suggestions are physically impossible. We won't be doing those. And I'll see you next time. Day off tomorrow, definitely. And I'm going on a visit later in the week. There will be a video from that visit. Thursday or Friday, I forget which. But yeah, there'll be an outside video. A look around a place that I'm visiting. And I will see you next time. Thanks for dropping by. Now I must go and get my steak out of the fridge. Get it up to room temperature. Get the cork out of that bottle and let it breathe properly. I don't think there'll be much of that left. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for dropping by. Bye for now.